So before you think I am moaning, I think this is a very, very important topic. I am grateful for what cryptocurrency has allowed me to have. It's given me a platform, freedom, and most importantly, something to weirdly look forward to every single day when I wake up. I know, bit hypocritical. My name is Ash and welcome to the channel. If you're new around here, make sure you have hit that like button on this video. It does help. But if you like my content, hit the subscribe button. You are probably going to learn a lot in this video. Now, this video is probably going to be somewhat therapy for me, screaming into the void, going through all the things that I hate about crypto and sometimes why I think, why don't I not sell it all and just be done with it? Sometimes it gets a bit too much, and also I think a lot of this hinders the actual growth of adoption in terms of cryptocurrency moving forward. The title is no joke though. I do hate a lot of things about crypto, not so much crypto itself in terms of the technology, but what people are utilizing it for and how people behave to enable things to happen, which is bad. So this is one of the main reasons why I do fewer videos on YouTube, why I say fewer things on Twitter, because I just can't be bothered anymore. I really can't be bothered. So this is why I do it behind a paywall underneath my Patreon for a very, very low fee, just to stop what does happen in open communities. There's a lot of scammers, there's a lot of people that will take advantage of you. And I don't want that to happen to my community. It's happened multiple times in the past. But why is this an important topic? Well, I'm not the only one that thinks this. I've asked on my Twitter, and you can see all the responses in a second, what you hate about crypto. And here are some of the responses. But there's a lot of learning points in this video. I'm going to go through all the things that I hate. Hopefully you can see all the things that I hate and hopefully avoid them and understand why they are so hated by myself and others in the space. I'm not the only one that thinks this. There's other people that have talked about this too. And I think it's an important thing to kind of get over as essentially a content creator and also most importantly as an educator. You guys watching this should learn a lot on this video, and there's a lot of points I'm going to go through and you'll see why in a bit. One final point before I get into the video properly. There will be opportunity from influencers to make money from you. What this video aims to achieve is for you to stop losing your money to influencers and other people like that and profit from their actions in which what they do. Let me explain on the screen. So as always, let's start off by someone who's blocked me on Twitter, usually. Point number 1, toxicity. How people change over time, how people change with money, how friends become enemies, and how just people behave. It's quite a toxic environment, actually. This is a good example. Martini guy, we used to get on pretty well back in the old bear market, bull market days, until maybe about a year ago now, where I just called him out saying, your behavior's shocking. The way he was, the way he was acting, and yeah, didn't get very nice, but I'm not the only one to think this about certain people like this. When they get followers, wealth, popularity really, an ego appears. I hated that side of it. I hate it. I hate it now. I don't like the idea of having a huge following. I'm a pretty private person. I just do content and all of a sudden it just blew up, right? Just one of those things. No one's kind of used to it. I fell into the trap very, very early on of like, oh wow, look at this going up and up and up. And then I gave myself a shake. But some people don't and they just like it. And they do the same sort of content every single day. We'll come on to that later on in terms of content that's like what you need to look out for. But yeah, you get the idea. Another example of this as well is Lady of Crypto. When she started doing content, she used to DM me quite a lot and ask questions and ask tips and stuff on how to like grow stuff, which is mad when you think about it. And the size of the account is unbelievable. Now blocked me. It is what it is, but you all know what type of content that these content providers give you. It's not good. Point number 2, LARP influencers. What does LARP mean? Description on the screen. Basically faking it. Basically stating that they're something that they're not. And also, most importantly, using their position in terms of how much influence they've got to look better than what they are, which is kind of a big problem. Now, there's a lot of people like this in the space. who have been around for a while but got a following. But realistically, when you delve a bit deeper and you look at what they've said on YouTube, Twitter, etc., you think to yourself, how wrong have you been to get that many followers? Having a follower count does not mean knowledge. Followers doesn't mean money. Followers doesn't mean anything realistically in this space. It's just the type of content that has been created that you were able to do within a certain time frame, i.e. bull market, to gain you kind of some, well, an audience really, some popularity. There's a lot of people like this. There's another one here as well. Ran. Some calls are unbelievably shocking. The way he behaves on social media is pretty appalling, really. And it's unbelievable how that's kind of a thing. But these are people who are promoting multiple things all the time and just using their money to kind of do whatever the hell they want with it, i.e. buying into crypto and just pumping stuff. And we're going to talk about grifters in a second. But a lot of these people are just there as a voice, and often their information that they give is not right. And you can go through their YouTube channels and you can see what they've been saying at certain points, i.e. tops, i.e. bottoms. I'm selling, fear, tops, buy in. You know what happens. It all goes pear-shaped. Let's talk about grifters. Let's talk about one obvious example going back from a long, long time ago. But there is a very, very good article here on a very mainstream website that is talking about it. And I'm going to go through this in a bit more detail in a second. A lot of people, and I will go through this thread in a second, but we'll talk about Superman first. Dumping. There's a lot of people that have been like, looking at certain things. There's a lot of influence been mentioned within this. Talking about BitBoy, talking about Ran, talking about Fatman Terror, who has been putting certain threads out there as well in terms of like exposing people. Misleading promotions. The likes of the Kardashians, Floyd Mayweather getting, all these scam promotions. These are people that are abusing their authority, their influence to push scams to you. And we will come on to scams later on. But you get the idea, right? And this is where it gets very, very interesting, because we can go back and look at likes of Kevin O'Leary, FTX. What happened to FTX? We all know. He was one of the main promoters of that, right? But you got the ICO show. And let's talk about Supo first. We're going back in time here to when I first got into altcoins, and I was also like getting in. I got about 3 or 4 ICOs back in those days, which were pretty good. Don't get me wrong. Like some of them were really good, but some of them were awful, absolutely awful. But there was a certain type of group of people that were promoting them back in the time who had an audience, right? This was a long, long time ago. And at the end of the day, this is where a lot of people made a lot of money, realistically, right? But when we look back on to Reddit, we're in 5 years ago, getting into certain coins, Electronium, obviously credits and stuff like that. A lot of people have been talking about this for a very long time. His account on YouTube got removed. He's now got a brand new one and he's doing the exact same thing, but more of the 1000x kind of gain sort of stuff on Twitter, on YouTube all the time. And guess what? A lot of my emails have mentions of certain coins like that all the time. I have an audience. If you're in my Patreon, you'll know this. I have an email thread which I copy and paste and show and screenshot all my emails of what I get from coins, which is funny. And I show people like, look what's like getting on people's radars now. And you can see it on Twitter. It's like, whoa, look at this. Cool. Scary. Let's look at the likes of BitBoy. Now, this is legit. It's real. How do I know this is real? Because I was actually mentioned in this thread. This thread, not in this thread on Twitter, but on the email. Basically, I was just mentioned. A coin came to me, but they did it wrong. They did the thing on the emails where they mention everyone and everyone's emails and then exposed. And someone asked the question, oh, we'll be interested. Guess who it was? BitBoy. His team. They put that exact bit of information, what their price list is, in the email. This is where it came from. And yeah, email on the screen to show you it. Scary when you think about it, right? So all of this is interesting. Now, BitBoy has kind of cleaned his image up a little bit. but it's still kind of mud sticks. You still wouldn't trust him as far as you can chuck him, really. But there's a lot of things out there in terms of showing and a lot of wallets and a lot of investigation about low cap coins that have been promoted by him and his team and all that kind of stuff in terms of what's happening. You can see them all the way through here. There's a lot. There's a lot. All right. This is a problem with this type of influencer where whether they've been bad in the past or good, you just can't trust them because they've got a massive audience. Now, going back in time a little bit and thinking of the bull cycle, I don't have a big, compared to these guys, I don't have a big audience, but I have a lot of influence. A lot of people are loyal to me. If I say something, people will copy, they will do it, whatever. It's just the way it is. It's called trust. The problem is, in a bull market, everyone wants to make money and they will trust anything that's making money at the time. If they've seen that BitBoys calls or Superman's calls or whoever calls have made money in the last, 2 to 3 months, they're going to go on to the next one. They're going to go on to the next one. It always happens. It's a real scary thought. But guys, please do your own research. Please don't just fall into the rabbit hole of, oh, I'm just going to copy. Because half the time, how do you know that people are not getting paid? Oh, look at this brand new coin that's just came out. It's just on a big YouTube channel. Well, $20,000 to get mentioned on a live stream. $35,000 for a dedicated review. Holy. Let's talk about the adoption curve. Another thing that I dislike about crypto is the fact that we are still hard to use. Still, I know. And it's true. I have yet to use cryptocurrency outside of this room, outside of my house, right? It's scary when you think about it. In the UK, I think there's only 4 ATMs in the UK, I believe. 4. I'm never going to use them anyways. I don't like using cryptocurrency other than what I use it for normally, right? I don't see that jump yet. It's a while off. And when you go to people, oh, you need to buy this, and you go, where do I buy that from? Oh, you got to get on Uniswap. How do I do that? You need a hardware wallet, or you need like a cold wallet essentially to enable private keys. And people look at you like you've literally grown another head. It's great. So when we start talking about the likes of ledgers, for example, other hardware wallets are available, of course. But so some people say, nah, and then all of a sudden they lose all their money. It's like because they've kept it all into like FTX, or they've lost the 2-factor authentication, which is mine's a second phone, right? So it's scary when you think about it. And that side of it is still hugely underestimated when you're a beginner. Now, I teach, you all know that. And when I'm redoing like the beginner course on learning crypto, which I will come on to in a second in terms of what you can kind of learn, it's hard for me as like being in the market for 6-7 years now to go back in terms of like, I've got to become a blob. I've got to go, right, what's this? And it's hard because I know it so through muscle memory. It's like hard to kind of articulate it. It's crazy. But yeah, for a lot of people, it's hard work. But it is what it is. Let's talk about the scams. Big one. This was huge back in the day. BitConnect. Massive. So this was ramping up when I was like first in cryptocurrency. This is like mental when you think about it. I first got involved in crypto in 2016. This is when this was like literally starting out. And everyone and their dog was in this at one point. It was crazy. Personally, I didn't get involved in it, which was a good thing, obviously. But there was a lot of people that really were into this, and a lot of hate came. Now, this was when I wasn't really on Twitter much or YouTube, but I did have a Facebook group. This Facebook group was just littered with people talking about this, Celsius, which I'll come on to in a second, other kind of like cloud token. There was another one as well. Plus token, I think, is another one. All these like Ponzi schemes. A lot of people that get involved in cryptocurrency think it's a scam or have been touted a scam at some point. This is where people first get involved in crypto, weirdly, I know. And there's a lot more out there as well. Again, when we talk about this, we talk about the likes of Celsius, the current running day Ponzi scheme that obviously happened not too long ago. You could argue the same for other lending protocols out there that have gone tit-shaped quite recently. And it's a scary fact, but we have to learn that scams are going to happen in everything. But in crypto, it is very, very prominent because people can get away with it. The SEC are not doing enough, in my opinion, to stop these from happening. They are trying to protect us, but ultimately they're not. They're just making it harder for us, and they're not stopping the likes of FTX. They're not stopping the likes of Celsius. They're not stopping the likes of Voyager, going bankrupt and all that kind of stuff and ruining people's lives. that is a problem, right? Peter on my Learning Crypto website has done a very, very good post here about scams and showing real life examples utilizing the likes of social media networks, likes of Telegram, Reddit, and all these kind of stuff, as well as the ICOs, MetaMask scams, and all kinds of. There's freaking loads of them, right? Be careful. You will get emails from like fake Binances. You will get all kinds of, like, even from Ledger. Oh, you must put your seed phrases in. Absolutely scary. It's like marketing this. If it works, you keep doing it. People are very clearly falling for it. Even in my Telegram groups or my Discords or whatever, right? People do get caught up in the emotions and they will post stuff that they shouldn't do. And actually, it is a phishing link. You've got to be very, very careful with where you put things or where you find things or what you click on. You have to be careful on that side of it. Another thing that I hate is exchanges. Sorry. Not exchanges itself. I mean, I don't use and abuse, but marketing. The marketer of an exchange is doing my head in. One exchange here, you all know, I've tweeted about this loads. They email me every week. Oh, become a partner. We'll pay you. We'll do this. I really don't care. I genuinely don't care. And here's some emails, right? You can see I've talked about this a lot. And why do they need people? Why do they need the volume? What is fundamentally wrong to get influencers to promote your exchange? The product shouldn't need marketed. It's an exchange, right? If people are interested in cryptocurrency, they will use your exchange. For me, I've used Bybit since 2018. I've used Binance since 2017. I've only really used Prime XBT just for a little other stuff for like indices in the past. That's it. I don't need to use anything else. I've always been an advocate of exchanges that I use personally. For me to go and push everyone to one exchange to get very little reward is not the point. And also, exchanges are one of the things that you shouldn't really trust in any environment, right? This is different to stocks. It's different to a broker. Cryptocurrency has a lot more limiting factors and flaws that could lead to financial loss. This is why we advocate and utilize the likes of hardware wallets, right? If you're going to keep money on an exchange, it is liquid only, and it is only designed for you to trade or whatever, right? Scary thought, but you can lose all your money on an exchange. It has happened. But it's just the market inside of this. I just don't get it. Like, I got random... I honestly have about 6 or 7 of these per month from the same exchanges. The same... I'm not going to mention all the exchanges, but there's 3 that are very, very prominent. Very prominent. And they're very, very high up in the chain as well. It isn't Binance, it isn't Bybit, and it isn't Prime XBT, the 3 that I actually physically use. And I don't have any partnerships or affiliation with, realistically, other than an affiliate link. I'm not a partner. I'm not realistically pushing their content. I just use it, and I've got a link in my description, right? I don't even think I've got a link to my Binance anyways, to be fair, but you get the idea. A lot of influencer accounts are dedicated to a sponsorship on a live stream or certain content all the time. They're getting paid for it. For me, it's not fun. It's not the fun side of it. I would rather not, personally, but what annoys me is the fact that when you say no, someone else just emails you. It's like, oh, I'll say no to this person, but like a week later, some other new person, some other intern will then email you. It's rather annoying. Fickleness and herd mentality. Yes, I've got XRP on my screen. Very, very herd mentality kind of based kind of cryptocurrency here. But people become very fickle with like price action. So say, for example, if you talk about something and it goes down a couple of percent, like, oh, but look at this, it's gone down, you're rubbish. We're dealing in probability, anything can go wrong. But you've also got the other side of it. Oh, I told you that XRP would go up to the moon. And you think to yourself, well, this is a real life example, by the way. Like literally about 2 weeks ago, someone was like, oh, I told you XRP would go up. I'm thinking to myself, when have I ever mentioned XRP on my channel? Has anyone really asked any questions about XRP? No. What? It's just crazy, right? People have this herd mentality. When it's green, it's amazing. And when it's red, it's crap. And the herd mentality of we must sell it or we must buy it is unbelievably powerful in cryptocurrency. FOMO. They're getting FUDed out your bags, and we'll talk about FUD later on. And it all stems down to emotion. With crypto, I find it hard to kind of do regular teaching because people just don't get it. And this isn't to offend anyone, but when I talk about buy low and take profit, people look at me like I'm an idiot. I'm like, what? Why would I want to take profit? It's hodl, it's diamond hands, and I will come on to that later on. But it's scary when you think about that mentality of people. And I don't know where they've got it from. I don't know where they've learned it. I don't know where they've got it. And it doesn't make sense where, as you all know, I sold a lot of my cryptocurrency in 2021. Near the peak, just before the peak, just after the peak. Not really on the peak, but you get the idea. And I got rotten abuse for it. And the herd mentality was lengthening cycle, super cycle. We're going to 250k. And I was like, nah. I'm out, not bothered. And it's a scary factor to think that people will bring that up and people will talk about that even now. People will be like praising me now or remembering my old calls, the bad ones, and just brushing off all the good ones. The herd mentality of this space is pretty destructive. Another thing that is somewhat annoying and what I do dislike massively about crypto is a no-face accounts. Is the random people that you don't know who they are, capo of crypto on the screen, as you can imagine, his massive cult following of, oh, we're going lower as the price is going up. And everyone's like, yeah, it's a bit of abuse going on. But at the end of the day, you do not know who this individual is. You do not know if this person is tied to a hedge fund or a VC. You do not know who is running that account. Makes you wonder, right? Why do you need like a facade name with no face and no details about a person who just tweets and has a lot of followers? Another great example of this is Crypto Whale. Crypto Whale has been around for a while. However, what I will say is this person has been around for a very long time under multiple different names. I knew this a long time ago, and everyone was like, oh, what do you reckon about this? It was Randy Raccoon. Randy Raccoon is a massive scammer in the space. And this Crypto Whale account is the same person, realistically, in terms of how it is. But the reality is, when you look on this Twitter here, you can see very, very clearly like the mass information and what was happening. The mass information of certain FUD was coming out. And most importantly, it was broadcast. It was shown all over the place. And then literally a couple of days later, the account was gone. A lot of people complained, but a lot of markers were already on that account anyways due to the past. You have to be super careful with who you trust in this space. For me, when I look at likes of, Capo Crypto, unbelievable to think the growth and the fact of the message that he's pulling is going to get people destroyed very quickly. And people trust that information. I know it's hard to believe, but people do trust people like people trust me. But there's got to be a way that you wave a little flag saying I am wrong and saying that, hold on a minute, I'm probably wrong here. It's scary to think how people will just follow an idea of someone they've never, ever met, seen, know anything about, or it's just an account on Twitter or it's an account on YouTube or whatever it may be. Scary. Another thing that I clearly dislike is YouTube. Sorry, YouTube. I think you're great to watch, but I hate putting cryptocurrency content on here. I really do. This is why I've moved to Twitch for my live streams, essentially. When we look at stuff like this, altcoins to buy, it is the same shite all the time. This is why I've done a series, if you're probably wondering. I've done a series just to get the views, to show people how it works. And it does. YouTube views are up. Subscribers are up. My revenue is up because I've done certain types of content. People just do this type of content all the time. And going back a little bit, they have these little scatter coins within that they've been paid for just to kind of push them in, promote them. Oh, I'll mention you in a video. Do you want a little 30-second clip? Go on then, just backhand me. That's kind of how it works, right? And this is why I've been doing these sort of videos, because it does genuinely work, which is scary. Accounts like this, for example, has been doing these every single time he does a video. I'll show you. Like, look at this. Bear with me. This is quite scary when you look at this. So when you think of like all the types of coins, it's the same sort of thing. Get in early, get in early, get in early, get in early, get in early. Now or never, get in early. Well, you will make millions. And this is just one example. But look at how videos here get 3.4 and then it's mental. It's You get the idea, right? So this is how it kind of all works, and it shouldn't. By the way, a lot of these videos have been deleted. There's a big jump, and I know there's a big jump. It's very, very clear that something has been deleted there. Anyways, another thing as well is when you look at cryptocurrency, as in the search term. Now, I'm not going after anyone who's on the front page of this because it's kind of, it's just one of those things. But it's the types of content that is done to pull and hook you in. And you've got the massive open-faced thumbnails. You've got the certain types of words. I bought 481 XRP today, my millionaire bet. You get the idea of how certain content is promoted and pushed to get you in. Ethereum crash soon. Ethereum's up about 3% today. It's doing really well. So you get the idea of why things do irritate. And I'm not the only one that talks about YouTube. And this is why, as I say, I'm going to go to Twitch for my live streams. And this is why I do a lot less content on YouTube. I only do 2 a week now because I just can't bear it anymore. I just really can't. It's just the way it is. Let's talk about FUD and people's delight of sharing it or trying to get you to get rid of your bags because of X, Y, and Z. This is a really interesting article. I'm just going to pinpoint some stuff here. FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. People make up stories, people do articles, people do press releases to promote things against cryptocurrency or certain altcoins within cryptocurrency. Does my head in. Another thing as well is rival communities within crypto will hate other coins. So when I was in Zilliqa, you had Elrond, for example, battering the shit out of Zilliqa community for no reason. It's the same with Ethereum versus BTC. It's like, oh my God, we're all on the same team, man. It's doing my head in. But you can see here, value of Bitcoin over cryptos is 0. Provide cyber attacks criminality. Mining is bad for the environment. Governments will outlaw it soon. Bitcoin is the biggest Ponzi scheme ever. I've even got paid members in my community going like, oh, cryptocurrency is a Ponzi, but I quite like it. I'm like, what? I'm confused. So it is one of those things, and you will have an impact that you will be, over the course of the next coming months, you will be flooded out of your bags. Now, I'm very open with like, well, if it's something stinks, I don't like it. But there's a very, very obvious tale of trying to see if there's real life facts with that or lies. You've got to do a bit of digging. This is why I explain on my courses why you should have less coins, because ultimately you keep on top of them, because if you've got 20 different coins, you're going to find it hard to keep up with. You will get people FUDing everything all the time. Doesn't happen in the world of finance though. It just happens all the time in crypto. It's all over the place and it really is quite irritating. Let's talk about individualisms and reply guys. Now a reply guy, basically this one here. Basically, someone who will reply on every single comment or post or everything on your YouTube videos, your Twitter, whatever, right? And it's just absolute negative bollocks all the time. And you got people who do the lovely kind of not gonna make it. And people say this all the time to me when I talk about a coin, and it really is funny. I'm like, I'm not gonna make it, but you're probably a bricklayer from Derby or something like that, thinking to myself, well, I'm doing okay right now. Just because your coin isn't doing very well, you're going to take abuse on me. And there's a lot of individualisms in the world who don't like certain things and they will openly voice it on the internet. This is the problem with the internet. Amplifies the voice to any pleb. Realistically, that should be the determination of it. And it is true. But they will not say it to your face. If I go to an event, I can bet my bloody house on it that no one will abuse me to my face. But give them a keyboard, they probably will. That's just the reality of it. And you've got to look at the other stuff as well. Of stuff like this, you're not going to make it. When I'm talking about something from, my experience with a coin, it's my opinion at the end of the day, and that's the scariest thing. The perception of it is, well, it just looks childish and it's kind of irritating. But when we talk about the likes of reply guys and stuff like this is a very, very common thing. It happens an awful lot. And the final thing as well here is, why do people, and most importantly, the perception of people, hate cryptocurrency? And I think it's kind of a combination of what I've just spoken about. I think a lot of people do hate crypto for what it is because One, they don't understand it, and also the conduct of what has happened, the scams, the people, the behavior, the types of videos that people look at on YouTube. It's like, oh my God, what is that? It's scary. Even like, I'm an F1 fan, and whenever there's an F1 advertisement or an F1 sponsorship like pushed onto a team page or whatever, because they've just done a new brand deal, the hate that they get. If you're an F1 fan, go and have a look on the mentions on Twitter when you see like an F1 sponsorship or something like that. It's crazy. It's funny. But it's just the way it is. And even when I look at like my content creators and they say certain things about crypto, they just get hate for it. They get hate. But it is what it is. We are in a world where I think we're early. But for me, all these things that I've talked about, they need to kind of get nipped in the bud, a lot of them. Certain things and the maturity of the market needs to improve for one, adoption, two, understanding, and three, just to make it a better place. Because realistically, when you are getting this all the time, when you are looking at all this all the time, it is tiresome, and it really is. But I think as an educational point, a lot of people can avoid losing a lot of money by avoiding certain things that people do and push onto you, because it can get very, very overbearing, especially in a vibrant, rampant bull market. This video hopefully will show you certain things that could probably get a lot worse in the new bull cycle when we ever get to that point. So I'm hoping that it does stand the test of time and people do take notice of this, and we'll see what's happening. There will be new influencers born out of the new bull cycle. Unfortunately, they will become people that you will probably want to avoid at some point.